Okay, thank you for you people who've been able to join us today for this another Organophix Australia webinar. Today we're going to talk about something different, which is the human biofield, how to read the human biofield. It's a skill that I developed many years ago, where I was able to determine what was going on energetically in someone's energy field. It came from the ability to read radiation fields or charge fields in people's houses. And many years ago, when I started doing consultancy work in people's houses, I'd use dividing rods and different types of dowsing tools to determine the different types of energy fields that are in different parts of the house. Then I moved on to using a tool called the Biotensor, which I think I've spoken about this tool virtually almost in every webinar I've done so far, all the way through last year. So what is about the human biofield? The human biofield is our energetic field that extends out to about arm's length around the body. I'll just share a screen and if you can see this, it's an image which I've found on the internet. There's all sorts of images around like this, and they show the different layers of the biofield. It's a very esoterical thing. And so you've got your physical, your mental body, your emotional body, your etheric body, your astral body, your etheric template, celestial body, causal body. That's basically the human biofield. But what I'm talking about now, what I read, is not actually that. I can't see energy. Some people can see energy. What I'm reading is the polarity of different parts of our energy field. When I say polarity, a radiation field has a positive charge, which with me causes my jaw to lock and I feel it in my hands. A harmonized field using a harmonizer like the Gerard Bini or a stellar creates a negative charge, which you feel in your eyes and your head. And with your hands, it's a very light feeling. So when the human biofield is strong and healthy, that's when people are physically well and emotionally well. It also means that their meridian strength, supplying meridian energy to the organs, is at optimal level. That's when the human biofield takes on a strong negative charge. And that's why some people say, oh, that person over there, they've got really good energy, just look at them. And another person will say, oh no, that person over there has got really bad energy. It'd be obvious as far as you can see the state of their health and well-being on their face and in their skin color and their demeanor and everything like that. But the ones where the biofield is distorted or interfered with is basically what's going on with them is that different meridians have been affected by emotional, physical toxins, radiation, whatever else is going on. Then different meridian energy drops, and so the organ energy drops. And so corresponding with where every organ is, you get a projection of positive charge coming out into the biofield from that organ. So some organs can have low energy and some will have high. So different parts of the energy field will have healthy, nice negative charge energy or unhealthy, heavy positive charge energy depending on the energetic status of the meridian system. So when everything's happy and healthy, then the biofield is basically a reflection of the energetic status of the vital organs in the body and also the brain, as far as neurotransmitters and amount of nerve energy to the brain, so to speak, if you were talking about, say, someone who was in a meditative state. As I said, radiation impairs the biofield. That's why when we do testing on a person before and after, with and without a harmonizer in a radiation field, the biofield is weakened when the person's in a radiation field without a harmonizer, and when someone is in the radiation field, but that field has been affected by a harmonizer like stellar, then that promotes a healthy meridian response, which increases the meridian energy, which then supplies more energy to the organs. So then the biofill increases in its strength. Some people call that a bouncy biofill. Some people will stand back about 6 feet from someone and put their hands out and feel around the field and can feel different things going on. That's not a psychic skill either. That's something that, one thing that I developed over the years. And I've seen a lot of other people do that. You don't have to be a psychic to actually read the biofilm. I do know people have met some very, very gifted people over the many years who actually can see energy. And I've actually been on excursions with a couple of people like that about 15 years ago. That was actually organised. I remember this one excursion was to a cathedral in Melbourne to read the energies and feel the energies in this cathedral. And that was actually organised by the Victorian Dowsing Society many, many, many years ago. Another way of reading the human biofield, as I said before, which I showed you before, is using the Biotensor. This is, as I said, I use this in my consultancy work in houses. I don't really need to use it, but I use it to demonstrate to the clients where the different radiation fields are. The clients can't see these things going on. I can feel them going on, and the Biotensor, with the way it reacts, each gives a clear indication of a charged field or a healthy field, as I said, by the reaction of the movement of the ring at the end here. Just a little bit about the Biotensor. I've spoken about this before, but it's something that a tool that people should recognise. And if you're in any way inclined to be intuitive and interested in, or some people are fascinated in this type of subject, they can be bought on the internet from various suppliers around the world. This one here came from the Netherlands. Great Biotensor, could be a little bit bigger on the ring on the end, but really nicely made. However, due to the lack of local suppliers in Australia of the Biotensor, we're endeavouring at the moment to actually go and have our own made and be able to supply them through the website, which we don't do at the moment, even though I talk about it all the time. The Biotensor was developed by a German scientist, and he was a building biologist, and he was I think he had a medical background, a guy named Joseph Oberbach. You can Google him and Wikipedia him, but unfortunately Wikipedia over the years, the profile on him has become weaker and weaker and weaker. And 3 or 4 years ago, when you Googled him or Wikipedia'd him, it gave you a lot of information on his background and what he did when he was alive and all his achievements and the books he wrote and things like that. But that's all been watered down, which is a shame. In Australia, the Biotensor has an interesting trademark, and that is it's trademarked as a medical instrument, and its description is as an instrument for detecting harmful radiation. It's not just, it doesn't just have to be harmful. It can be beneficial, charged, or energetic fields, or radiant fields, as I like to call them. And that's why the Biotensor is a really good tool for people who can't feel energy. But if they use a Biotensor, they can actually pick up the size of the energy field, where the distortions are in the energy field, and which meridians are actually turned on and which meridians are actually turned off. I've demonstrated this at countless expos over the last 12 years, where people are interested in the products and they want a demonstration of how a particular product might work. So what I would do would be to unplug, we'd have a GeoCleanse plugged in at the expo stand, unplug that, test them with the Biotensor with their mobile phone without a harmonizer, then test them again with the harmonizer on the phone. And the test beforehand when they're holding the phone doesn't have to be in call either. When you hold a phone, the charge goes straight through the body, so it's immediately interfering with the meridian energy, which is going to then decrease the size of the biofield. Another way we used to do it many years ago was to use a pair of divining rods to show the size of the biofield, but the divining rods weren't as specific as using the Biotensor, as in the Biotensor can be used in different parts of the energy field over different organs to get an idea of the energetic status of the organs. And by all means, when you're reading the biofilm and determining the energetic status of organs and meridians and things like that, it's not a medical diagnosis, it's purely an energy field reading. So we're not pretending to be doctors or anything like that. It's purely energetic. Another tool over the years that we've used to read the human biofield, and it's a very interesting tool, is the GDV Kirlian photography. And if you've been aware of us for a long time, you would have been aware of the funny Kirlian or aura images we have on our website demonstrating the effectiveness of different products. That imagery is created by what they call a GDV, which means gas discharge value camera called Kirlian, which was developed by a Russian doctor. His name was Korokov, and that was developed many, many years ago. There were people before him who developed similar types of Kirlian imagery. And I'll just show you one now. So that's an Kirlian imagery of the human energy field after 24 hours of wearing the organ pendant. These photos, actually, what I'm showing you now, are very old. They were performed independently by, and I'll name him Matthew Shields, who's a Kirlian master, I'd call him that, in country Victoria. They were done independently by him on behalf of a wholesale client we had at the time, who were selling our pendants in Indonesia with a company called Kaching. This is all history. Kaching doesn't exist anymore. It was run by two Australian girls who had a network marketing company set up in Bali to help Balinese people, and that model really, really suited them, enabled them to buy a lot of products that they could not normally purchase from their local supermarkets and things like that. I then eventually bought this camera and operated the camera for about 3 years at expos and did my own research before and after using the products. And I developed a really good database of images, except the problem with the Kirlian cameras back then was that they used Windows XP, which wasn't very stable, and the Windows computers, laptops at the time weren't all that stable either, or the ones I had weren't that stable. And at one expo, I lost 3 years of data, which is images. The whole computer crashed, and I lost a whole lot in front of me. One by one, all the images just disappeared. I lost all of that forever. Thank God, Sonia, who owned Kaching, was able to give me these photos, which were part of what do they call that? Yeah, some sort of program. Off the tip of my tongue, I should know that pretty well. Presentation program, which had all these images, which we've been able to maintain up until now. I then bought another Kirlian camera about 3 years ago, but the new Kirlian cameras, which work with a Mac, and that's all I use as a Mac, aren't as good as the older Kirlian cameras. But the Kirlian is a really good way of demonstrating image-wise what's going on in the human energy field. I'll show you another photo. Okay, this is another photo of using Kirlian GDV. And this is the human energy field without wearing an orgone pendant. And mind you, these aren't the current stellar pendants. These were the older range of coloured pendants, which have been making for many, many years. You can see in this photo, there isn't much in the way of blue depicting the size or the strength of the energy field. That's because the woman whose photo was being, the woman who in the photo, so to speak, because it's not an actual photo of the person, it's just a data reconstruction of what the camera picks up as far as the gas discharge from each finger, because with Kirlian photography, you take a photo of each fingertip, which the meridians, all of our major meridians, run from one of the fingertips through to the corresponding organs in the body. Anyway, here you can see there's a great distortion. She was a nurse, and I think she just finished a day of work, so she was pretty run down, pretty tired. Also, in that house where the photo was taken, I know of the different types of radiation fields that occurred there, and there was a lot of stuff. There was a lot of bioplasmic radiation, a lot of geoelectric charge going through the ground. These photos go back to 2000, I think 2010, if I'm right. And so there's a photo of the energy field without the pendant, as you can see the distortions. And I'll go back to the other photo with the pendant, and that says after 24 hours, but there was a stronger effect much earlier on. But Matthew liked to do his study over 24 hours, and I thank him for that, because that was a good bit of science, so to speak, there. And so there's the photo of the energy field with the pendant on, and because the pendant's increasing the meridian energy by neutralising the radiation charge in the house that the photos have been taken in, the energy field is a lot stronger because the meridians are no longer being taxed by the positive charge of the radiation in the house. Kirlian just doesn't present data that way either. Most people think that that's a true representation, like taking a photo of a person. And this isn't like aura photography, like when we used to do expos at every larger Mind Body Spirit expo, whatever we were doing, wherever we were around Australia, there were always aura camera people with their selling their services of aura photos for people, where you sat down and you put your hands on plates and someone took a photo with the camera in front of you, which is a Polaroid, and after about a minute it gets developed and you see all these pretty colours or blackness or whatever's going on in the energy field. And the person who takes the photo then reads the photo and does, it's not a psychic reading, it's an understanding of what the different colours show depending on where you are energetically and depending on where you are emotionally too. This is something completely different. This is more looking at the meridians and the organ energy levels. A negatively or a negative emotional person or a depressed person or an angry person can be shown, the emotional state can be shown with Kirlian photography, because if you're emotionally upset, then your endocrine organs are going to be out of balance and the meridian energy will be down, and so then you'll end up with a distorted aura image as far as the Kirlian goes. But that's not the only way to demonstrate what Kirlian does. I'll show you another photo. Kirlian also can present the data in a number of different ways, and here's the data on the pendant after 24 hours. And just for the hell of it, I'll just quickly interpret this. The optimum energy level band in these two circles is the inside green band, and the orange line that goes around that band, and every time it intersects a radial coming out, and I know this is a small image and you can't read what it says, but all the way around the outside where these radials point to is the name of the organ that radial represents. And so with this orange line that runs around the outside, the optimum is to be within that green band. And it will waver in and out because not everyone's absolutely perfect. If you're into the yellow band, that's a little bit on the overstimulation, but that's okay. In the green outer band, it's way overstimulation. It's as bad as being in the pink and red bands, which is way under stimulation. If you were in the pink and red circles, in the middle, then it showed there'd be something really going on. I think I've got here a photo of before, maybe. Yep, here's before. This is how the Kirlian camera depicts with this type of chart, the photo of the person, which was in the photos of with the blue around the outside with the silhouette. This showed the state of her without the pendant. As you can see with these two graphs, that there's a lot of intrusion into the pink to show that different meridians and different organs will run down energetically because she'd been working all day long, and then the house had a lot of very heavy energies at the time. So I'll just get rid of that. Okay, I'll just come back to you all now. Someone's got a question here. Is the measurement for energetic consciousness level or health? It's both, absolutely both. You can't have the whole without one and the other being in the perfect state. Oh, okay, image sharing not working. I hope it did work. Sorry about that. Okay, getting back on track. Talking about reading human energy fields lately too. Something I picked up on over the last few days, and I don't want to get controversial either, but this is really, really, really interesting. We've been seeing a lot of politicians getting in the arm. And from what I know, and I've been able to do this I've been doing this for a long time, whenever I see someone actually physically being immunised, and that occasionally might happen. I've had children who go to hospital and they hurt their knees and their ankles and things like that when they were younger. And you're in that environment, you see people getting the jab. And one thing I've always noticed is that when someone gets the jab, no matter what's going into the body, the energy field changes straight away. It's immediate and it's quite distinct. What I noticed over the last couple of days from watching television, as we do, because we're all glued to the screens at night time to see what's going to happen tomorrow. As we know in this current situation, it's just take it day by day. You can't do anything else. Is that some of these politicians, when they were getting the jab, their energy fields didn't change. Nothing happened. It just stayed completely the same. And they had their smiles on their faces, and they had their arms up and saying, "How good are we?" Not saying anything pro or con about immunisations or whatever's happening. Too dangerous to do that these days, as we know. But I just thought it was a really interesting observation that when I was reading their energy, when they were getting the jab, there was no change in the energy field. Very interesting. If you want to be really controversial about May last year, us, like a lot of people who are consciously aware of what's going on and don't take what we see on the 7, 9, 10 and 2 as being exactly the truth. I did read something somewhere from some speculator on the internet, and this person was saying in a prediction type of thing, when the jab comes out, you'll see all the pollies rushing up and getting it first as an example to everyone else. But are they really getting it? It's a really controversial thing to say, but by what I was reading over the last couple of days, maybe I'll get a phone call or an email from someone saying, "I'm a politician, I really did get it," or someone challenging me on that. Good on you. I'm just quoting what I observed energetically anyway. That was an interesting observation. I've just got some questions come up on the side from those who are participating, and also this will go up. It'll be edited, like they all have been. There's always this little pause here and there with me thinking about what to say next, because there's so much going on in the brain that things get changed around. But there's a question saying, when at home with the stellodome, is it necessary to wear the pendant? No, it's not. The stellodome or the geoclines, by neutralising the positive charge from different radiation fields in the space, by doing that and then creating that predominant negative charge radiance, which is what the human, like any living thing, prefers to be in, that type of environment. The geoclines of the stellodome will actually because by preventing the radiation stress in the body, it will negate the need for a pendant because it will help to promote the good, healthy meridian energy. I've just got another Kirlian shot I want to show you too, which I put together before, but I didn't get a chance to. And this is another interesting shot that is, this is other testing done by Matthew Shields in country Victoria. It's a little bit of a funny small photo, and these photos are actually on the testing page on the website, so you can actually go and view them and get a better clarity than what I've got here. But anyway, the photo, the image on the left is an aura image of one after training, that is weight training, kettlebell training, because Matthew was a pretty fit guy, without the inner band. Then after that, the second photo in the middle is the energy field after training, sorry, before training on another day, but with the inner band on. Then the third image on the right is the energy field after an hour of training with the inner band on. And if you compare the third image to the first image, which is training without an inner band, then with an inner band, there's a huge difference there. We're not making a claim here with the inner band that it gives you strength or can heal anything or make you well or anything like that. That's just ludicrous. We're only talking about energy fields. But it was very interesting, and the reason it was done was at the time there was another band on the market, which I won't name the brand of, which got torn to pieces by skeptics and everyone else because this company went out marketing an energy type of wristband to the sports industry, claiming it will make those people who wear the band while they're playing sport better competitors and stronger and faster and things like that. Well, they got into a real lot of trouble for doing that, and we don't make claims like that. That's an absolute stupidity. The bands are for protecting the energy field from harmful charge fields, from radiation fields. When I say inner band, that's, we all know what we're talking about. Little rubberized silicon inner band, energy band, which is energised by our processes here at Organometrics Australia in Somerville. So I just wanted to show you that too, because it's a really interesting one. Okay, get off, stop sharing. Okay, so that's enough for today. That's our human energy field or human biofield webinar. If anyone has any questions regarding it, if anyone has a desire to learn how to use a biotensor or to buy one, I'm going to be doing a small video on how to use the biotensor over the next couple of months, which will go on the website. When I say next couple of months, it might be earlier than that. We've got a video day planned for certain things for testing. That will be something that will go up, and you would be able to watch that and learn from that how to use a biotensor. And as I said, we're going to have them made here in Melbourne, because the suppliers around the world are all over the place. And with this current situation with COVID worldwide, there's still big hold-ups with mail around the world. We've gotten around it with our international postage, but what I have found with things I've bought from overseas, I've waited 2, 3, 4 months, and I'm still waiting on something that's 6 weeks old coming from the US, which is slow due to the COVID thing. That's why we are going to try and make our own, and then have them on the website, and then really develop an understanding with people, and what would be the word for it? Make the biotensor make the biotensor available to a lot of people. Because if you learn how to use something like a biotensor, after a while, you can put the biotensor down and start using your hands, because the energy is just coming through your hands anyway. Once you start learning how to read energy with your hands, the world really is your oyster. So thanks for attending. How many people we have today? 16, that's great, really appreciate that. Obviously our 11 o'clock on Fridays is a better time for a lot of people than 4:30 in the afternoon. It was 4:30 in the afternoon was great. It was Poets' Day, and it was time to knock off. And usually my wife, Leanne, would be sitting in the corner with a glass of wine while I'm drinking water. But 11 o'clock, I think, is a better time for most people. So thanks for attending, and we'll have another webinar in 2-3 weeks' time on another interesting topic, which I won't say at the moment, and we'll just keep it for then. Thank you.